Hey, welcome back to another video. So I'm out here on my new bike, which is the Polygon Strattos S5 disc, and it's fitted with Shimano 105 hydraulic disc brakes and 1x11 group set. And it's going to be my new race bike, so I'm going to be starting road bike racing hopefully sometime in the near future. And I thought I'd do a quick review on my new bike for 2022. One of the dangers of riding with headphones on, I guess. So this bike, I've got it currently set up. You might be able to see a bit of a chimney stack just here, and that's just because I haven't fully committed to the position on it just yet, and I'm going to be dropping down the stem and handlebars maybe even further in the future, but for now I'm just adjusting to the position. So talking about the weight of this bike, so it arrived at exactly 10 kilos once I added Shimano 105 pedals. Now I'm in Physique R5 tempo shoes, and I've had no problem with them so far. They're quite comfortable. It's in this lovely nice white color, and I've added a Garmin mount, which will also double as a GoPro mount for when I start racing. It's got 28C tires and 700C wheels. So I believe the handlebars on here, they're 44 wide, 44 centimeters that is, and I think they're going to be very good overall, but I might go to a bit narrower, and that's just based around shoulder width. I've also changed out the saddle, so the saddle that came on it might be a bit wide for most riders, and I've actually swapped it out for a toe seek saddle, and that is just a full carbon saddle that I got off eBay, extremely cheap Chinese carbon fiber. It's come off my cross-country bike, but I've had no problems with it, and it's actually been the favourite saddle that I've owned. So in a minute we're just going to put a little bit of a hill here, and I'll talk about how this bike climbs. So as we go down the descent here, brakes are amazing, no issues with grip on the tyres, a little bit of mud here. So stick it in a bit of an easier gear, start climbing. So at first glance it just flies up hills, you know, like compared to some other bikes that I've ridden before, mostly coming from mountain biking, but even some other road bikes that I've test ridden, this bike's just so much more responsive, and it just loves steep climbs. So there's a gradient just here, I'd say it's about 30%, extremely steep, and you just give it some and it just responds like it loves it. So as it sits with this new saddle, it's sitting around 9.8 kilos, which is quite heavy for a road bike, but I only paid 1,800 Australian dollars for this while it was on clearance from Bicycles Online. And that really just highlights who this bike is for. So it's for people who want to start riding road, maybe racing, on a budget. And I have plans in the future to put quite a bit more money into this and give it some upgrades. But as it sits, still an amazing bike. Really look forward to putting tons of Ks on it. So back to the spec a bit. It's got some in-house components on it, being the entity bar, stem, seat post, and originally saddle. And they've been quite solid, although I think there is a slight weight penalty for them. as far as averaging good speeds uphill, this thing's amazing. Now it's got a 50/34 chain set on this, and it's the ideal mix for an enthusiast. It's got the hydraulic disc brake Shimano 105, great for slowing down, but also fairly lightweight as well. I'd push all newer riders to go straight onto discs. So it's got turned around. I'm going to see how this thing goes downhill. So this is descending in the wet as well, so it's a great test of overall performance. Straight away up to speed, no problems there. We'll slow down a little bit for this pedestrian. And as we bring it into the corners, we're just going to keep it nice and slow. So just modulating them brakes. And wow, this bike just picks up so much speed. Bring it around these corners. This is in the wet, so I've got to be a little bit more cautious. Bit of mud after this tight corner, so we're just going to ease into it. And such an enjoyable bike to ride, like uphill, downhill, anywhere. Put about 50 k's on it so far just to get used to it, get it set up for myself, and had really no issues with it, apart from my own lack of flexibility being new to road biking. Now let's talk about some of the competition for this. So Trek has some cheaper road bikes, especially Canyon. Meets a very similar price point, but the look of the bike, the spec of the bike, and the performance, they're just what bring it so much higher than all the other brands. And honestly, I don't see a reason to go anything but Polygon these days here in Australia, as they normally sell for around 2,200. I've got it on clearance for 1,800. Now, for some that might sound like a lot, but for what you're getting, it really is a race bike on a budget. I intend to race on this, and I'm going to have a series upcoming very, very soon. I'm going to go racing on road for the first time. I'm going to document that whole journey. A couple of other notes on this bike. So it's a little bit harsh. It's marketed definitely towards races, maybe some distance riding, but if you're getting on this, you've got to really be thinking about road riding and racing, because that's who it's built for, and that's the marketing that they've kind of done behind it, is based around speed. And it's not classed technically as an aero bike. The frame does have some aerodynamic tubes on it, but overall it seems to be a bit more focused around being lightweight. And I think that that's a major advantage to it, is that Australia is quite hilly in sections, and especially in the Newcastle area where I live, you'll be going up and down a lot of hills, and aerodynamics really contributes to that. So that's one thing that I'd always be considering, is the mix of aero and lightweight, and the fact that you don't always need aero. Although I will be going to some aerodynamic wheels on this in the future to kind of reap the benefits of both sides. Also looking at stem position, it came with quite a high stem, and although that's really good, it allows a lot of different people to get on this bike. Overall, I would always encourage people to start riding in the position that you intend to keep. So that's what I've chosen to do, is I've actually dropped the stem down, got in a much more aggressive position, and that is so that when I start racing and get used to it, I won't actually be changing my position around at all. And the other thing being as well, it's a great bike for average speeds. So I've already been working to get some shorter KOMs near my house, and looking to progress my skills. So again, let's give it a little bit up this hill, and you see it just respond. This bike loves to go fast, and if you're a rider that enjoys pushing a bike and pushing yourself and your own speed, maybe riding a bit of a higher cadence, it's great. The frame definitely has some flex, but all in the right places. You are not going to be having any issues with much on this bike. Little gravel section, again, coming from mountain biking, not too much of an issue. Feels amazing on this bike. It just handles everything, and I feel like if you put gravel tires on it, you could definitely even race gravel races on this. So just to summarize, amazing overall bike, kind of hits that sweet spot of price, and spec as well. Shimano 105, one of the most solid group sets around, and I'd always encourage riders to go for stuff like that because it's compatible with higher end stuff. So if you break a derailleur or anything in a crash, you can put Ultegra or Dura-Race on there. Obviously you'll have to check compatibility, but a lot of the time things are quite cross compatible, and that's the major theme of this bike, is it's cross compatible with just about anything. Just chuck left here, and just wrapping up the review. I really look forward to riding this. It's definitely a beginner race bike, but it really will suit a lot of riders. So thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. Thanks for watching.